Hey everyone, ladies, gentlemen, and otaku alike, this is Recall Reviews, and oh, you know the rest. I got stuck in a rift in time while I was at the movies, and something about a new Terminator, Rambo, and Godzilla movie all coming out around the same time. I got stuck in 1954 Japan, and apparently there's a giant monster attacking. Yeah, this shit actually happens. Who knew? Oh man, this guy's really big. Like, not quite 400 feet big, but definitely big. Oh, that reminds me. The cinematography in Godzilla King of the Monsters. The cinematography in Godzilla King of the Monsters was outstanding. When the cameras were focused on the people in the film, it was pretty standard. But once the kaiju action started, everything felt properly grand and really put you in the action. Much of it was focused from the ground up or from places a person could actually be standing. The scale of the monsters was massive and intimidating once you were in the thick of the battle. But that's not to say it was all used to the filmmaker's advantage. Due to the increased action in the movie, the action was brought up close and personal to all the kaiju involved. But even during the close-ups in the kaiju fights, everything still felt appropriately large scale. So I would say the camera work was on point and definitely something worth another viewing just for the sheer scale of it. Hey, you guys holding up alright? Can you even understand me? No? Probably not. Well, things have gotten pretty crazy here, to say the least. I'm kind of in this makeshift shelter here. Nobody's really having a good time here, that's for sure. But while I'm waiting for the next rift in time to open up, I might as well talk more about the movie. Next on the list is the music. I couldn't help but to smile with this one. The music and sound work in this film was amazing. Using many original audio cues from the Toho films, even Godzilla's roar was mostly the classic one we know and love from the Heisei era, as well as the leather glove on electric guitar effect from the original Showa era. I was disappointed, however, that King Ghidorah didn't have his original bell-like roar. The score itself was a fantastic blend of new orchestrals mixed with original Akira Ikefube themes for Godzilla and even Mothra. Now, I might as well go right into the writing and story. The story was surprisingly engaging. Without spoiling too much, the basic story is an obvious villain who wants to one-up the world by using the kaiju that are being contained by Monarch, which is basically the MonsterVerse version of S.H.I.E.L.D. The human story I felt was pretty engaging and kept me hooked throughout the film in between the kaiju moments. Now, keep in mind, it's nothing outstanding or so enthralling and deep you can call it a masterpiece. But the human characters in this movie were far from one note, and for the most part had a lot of personality. Now, for the kaiju themselves, King Ghidorah was appropriately menacing, as well as Rodan. Though Rodan himself was more of a pawn for Ghidorah. Ghidorah himself, each head having its own personality, was something I wish was shown off more. Mothra was more capable than she had ever been before, the design for her giving her more defined legs to defend herself better. She was about as defined as she is in any other movie she's been in. Now, for the big man himself, Godzilla. He was portrayed as more heroic in this one. at least from the human point of view in the film. But he was written as an alpha predator whose role is that of a balance keeper. Oh no! Okay, I'll just shoot him some more. That'll work, right? That is so much worse than it looks. But that does remind me of the special effects from Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Of course the effects are pretty much entirely computer generated. But I think this was some of the best CG work I've ever seen. All the kaiju felt as if they were really in front of me on screen. There was really only one scene that was noticeable, and where the CG wasn't that great. But aside from that, it was very well executed and looked very solid. The work on Godzilla alone, in my eyes, was so good it could have passed for a guy in a suit. I mean this in the sense that it feels as if he has a true presence. The design of the monsters are about what you'd expect. Godzilla was dark and scaly, with the only real change being an increase in the maple leaf fins on his back. Ghidorah was gold and serpent-like. Mothra, well, she looked like a moth. And Rodan had the biggest redesign. His traditional body shape was about the same, but they made him look like a creature that can live in the magma, with an almost stone-like body that was always burning. Every attack felt like it carried weight and was powerful. Each blast felt impactful and looked twice as devastating. Wait, right there! The time rift! I can finally get back home! Well, that was certainly something now, wasn't it? Well, let's hope nothing like that ever happens again. So, with that being said, I suppose it's time I share my final thoughts on Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It was a thoroughly entertaining thrill ride from start to finish, with great action, a good story, and outstanding music. The people behind this movie should definitely be proud, and I highly recommend that you watch this movie. Don't let the, quote, purists interfere with your judgment on whether or not you should watch this movie, just because it's not exactly what Toho would have made. It was everything a kaiju movie, I think, should be. Fun, entertaining, you don't need to think too hard, but has an important message behind it. With that being said, if you want more excitement, I definitely say you should check out the King's Fall board game. A couple of guys I met at the Comic-Con had a really interesting idea. They had some cool demo units to show. And if you're a fan of Dungeons & Dragons, Skyrim RPG type material, I think you'll really love this retro style board game. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out their Facebook and get more information on it. Well, with all that being said, this was Attilia with Recall Reviews. I recall it for you.